were having issues.
They
Scotty
used
meets
to.
here.
Somebody said the card group.
Careful.
The card group doesn't meet here anymore. They need
But
it.
it's going over
Somewhere
there.
else.
Scotty, what they're doing is just
Stuff
the other
didn't
end.
disappear.
Oh, the card group.
I come home, you know, I sit down, I got my
There's
plates
hand and
around,
foot.
you know, and I look at it, you know.
Yeah.
2 or 3 bridges.
Hoof and mouth.
Hoof and
Hoof and
mouth.
Hoof and mouth. There's a vaccination for that.
There's no vaccination for hand and foot.
No.
Called dead.
Testing, testing. I think we're streaming right now.
Well, they are.
As a substitute
I
for,
tried
I
to
don't
post
know, 5 or 6 weeks.
Yeah, everything's set correctly. It looks like we're just moments away from going.
Exactly. They're tough.
They're willing to tell you.
Oh, yes.
So I knew of 2 sets of rules for hand and foot.
There's a lot.
So
I don't know what
looked
I've
on
done
the
differently. I feel
internet,
like I have less
and
garbage around me for some
There
reason.
was a website for hand and foot. And there was 16
Maybe I've been setting up with so little
None of
time
them
I've left
like what we
piles of
played.
stuff around me.
Because we
And
play
I've been able to put them away.
comes from Alaska, where people are
Why don't you tell us a
snowbound
little bit about what's
during the
happening
winter, and they
around
want a long
around
game. The earlier ones, but it would
as
take
far
like
as new
half an
stuff,
hour to finish a game.
tequilas or whatever.
That's
You
a
know,
good
you
game
didn't
for
have to.
it.
You probably picked up the news
You know,
that
you only need one
Iran
book
out
of
of Syria dumped
Welcome.
several hundred missiles on Israel.
Sit anywhere.
Did you hear that?
I'm sorry, I didn't, Bob. What happened?
Iran dumped over 100 missiles on Israel
It's a red letter day. I pay my taxes
Really?
and pay the water
Yes.
bill.
When did this happen?
yesterday.
Did they go up? A lot of
Really?
And the Iron Dome took out every one of them.
Get to there.
And then Israel went and bombed Is-
I know. Yeah,
I
look.
did it.
Syria.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
Oh,
And
seriously.
Iran comes to the table
there
and
is no
says,
keyboard to work on.
today we are going to take out Israel totally.
Today? General,
Today.
and then keyboards in there.
I get this Fox News.
And it's so reasonable.
I'm checking right
You
now.
know, the property,
Really?
Because I,
a couple of properties I know.
Well, yeah, I know, I know.
Well, May
4,000.
10th,
so now you
2018.
gotta add another one.
My daughter's in Chicago, and the taxes on
Now you
it
gotta
is
add bit.
$23,000.
imagine.
But I did it and I
Then
can't,
there's the
I can't
cars.
use it.
Yes.
You know, all the
I
other.
don't know how
Well,
to
you know
use
what
it.
they did
Israel
in
did
Arizona this year? They
Attack
attacked 35
Iranian
bucks
targets in
on
Syria.
registration.
That's what's coming up.
Every vehicle.
So Israel went in and bombed the hell out of,
And they didn't take
and
it to the voter.
they were
line,
able to
they
take
just
out
slid it through.
a lot of the missiles as well.
My daughter,
I wouldn't taste very good.
4 kids, 3 of whom were drivers. There's 4 vehicles.
There is so much hatred, I'll tell you, it just,
Okay.
Right. Yeah.
My teacher's salary.
Right on.
Yeah.
There it goes. Well, that was like, you know, when
Huh.
the teachers all went on that walkout and the governor finally.
Yeah, all I'm seeing is stuff about
The problem was.
Israel attacking Iran troops in Syria.
Israel
But they gave it
confirmed
to the
strikes on
district.
Iran
You know, the
targets in
district
Syria
didn't necessarily give it
after
to the
they were in
teachers.
response to surface-to-surface
didn't-
rocket
A lot of the
that Iranian
infrastructure
forces
people
fired
use.
against Israel. That
Oh,
was intercepted
that's
by
what Bob's
the
talking
Iron
about.
Dome.
Yeah.
Maggie was
so,
Yeah.
how does it affect
It
Mexico?
works in
That's,
Messenger, but it didn't wanna
that,
work on Facebook.
for our children.
what would Mexico's position be?
Mexico's a pacifist country. They, you know, they didn't support the war in Afghanistan. They didn't support the bombing in Iraq. Yeah, very much so. They're not an aggressive country at all, and it actually hurt their immigration stance with the United States after 9/11 because they wouldn't take a position with the United States to go to war. And so the United States scrapped all their immigration plans at that moment. Said none of that's important right now. We were just bombed on our home territory.
So Mexico's trying to be another Switzerland.
Well, they always
Showing
are.
more humanity, and they have, through the years, they've been very humane with
Got enough
immigrants
internal
coming up.
strife.
Well, and then in stark contrast to that, years later we've got Katrina going on, and we don't have troops to send to help the people in the south, and Mexico puts together troops and brings up aid.
And Puerto Rico as well.
Yeah, Puerto Rico too.
Yeah. I mean, that's really Mexico's role in the world stage. They can't They can't
you'll never
threaten
find-
anybody, but their goal is protection and human rights.
But you don't find that in the American press at all. Nothing positive about.
Well, it depends on what American press you,
Name one positive article in the last year.
about Mexico? No, I read a lot of positive.
Hey, we're supposed to have started by now, guys.
I read the other.
What are you doing?
I just realized that we should be starting right now.
All right, yeah.
Yeah.
If anyone's out there in the cyber world, this is Scott Stimson with the San Carlos
I take
Computer
it
Club.
back.
And
Science, technology, and film.
yeah,
That's what Mexico is known for.
science, technology, and film.
Yeah.
We're starting.
Hey, we have officially started. It is Tuesday. It is after 9:15, and I'm very flattered that somebody thought that. I mean, this is aspirational. This table length, the the number of people we can fill. I didn't set this up. Maybe there's something going on here afterwards. But if you're feeling way out there on the fringe, feel free to move a few seats closer so we can get you within earshot.
I thought Bob was on the fringe.
Let's be fair. We are all on the fringe. This is the fringe.
Sure,
If the-
just because I got my share on your side.
It would be a good name.
There are
Well-
people out there listening. I can tell you that.
all right.
I have a friend in Tucson that's listening.
Really?
Hello, friend.
Hello, friend of Bob's in Tucson.
Bob's friend.
I was listening
Dick,
last
Dick, Dick came.
Hello, Cheryl. Oh wait, Cheryl's right here.
I was at home last week.
Dick came here.
Hello, Sid in Alaska and Theo in New York. This is everybody that pays attention to us.
This is your whole group.
That's right. I should get like a list of people out there that I know are listening and just thank them for having any interest.
Dick is in there.
And Dick. All right,
You
Dick.
can't see who's watching?
Well, you know what? If you're on, there are some tools. Like somebody could get into the discussion group. I've got a chat room here that somebody could pop into, and they could be listening right now. There is a chat that goes alongside the YouTube stuff, so somebody could take a moment and pop in there and leave a comment if they wanted to.
But can you turn on their camera so we can see them?
Hello.
What was that in?
And you can do this not live.
Yes, you
There.
Yes, you can. But
Oh,
wait.
you better get dressed.
You can still do it when we leave.
What's that?
Is it something that we can pull up when we leave?
Right, it's being recorded right now, so it's on YouTube, and then I put it out as a podcast later. scclub.org and get all this information. And if you're looking for the YouTube channel, you can go to youtube.scc.org. I made it part of the domain address. So that'll take you right to the YouTube channel, so you don't have to search YouTube. Just type into your browser youtube.scclub.org. Notice there's 2 dots in that name. And that takes you right to the YouTube channel.
I've never seen it because I always put in Russian automobile crashes.
That's the problem.
Now be honest.
So-
Get new Russian.
As always, I've showed up with some topics, but I'm very interested in any topics. Chester's got his hand up out here.
I have a question
With the
that
babushkas.
results as a result of your lecture on cell phones.
The smartphones presentation.
The question I have is that you and I you would recall working with me when I had Outlook 2007 was deleting my emails on the server.
Okay, I mean, there's a lot in that, but go on.
Yeah, and we fixed that, and that works great.
Okay.
And so I decided with a cell phone that I would also download my emails on the cell phone.
Okay.
And when I go to delete them, they're off the server.
Yeah.
So how do I set my cell phone so it doesn't delete my emails off the server?
It sounds like maybe the way it got set up on the cell phone is with an IMAP, and you need to use a POP setting.
But how do I set, I don't know where, I can't figure, I've been online trying to figure an answer, and I can't figure out where to set it.
You know, I'm pulling out my phone right now. I think it's in settings
Should be in settings.
under, because it's an Android phone you're using, right?
Right.
So under settings, there is an email,
Right.
and there's also accounts.
Should be in there.
Accounts is what I have.
But you should be able to go into the IMAP setup and say, don't delete it from the server too. Unless
Can you
it-
do that
well, I can
under
on my
IMAP?
iPhone.
Well, the
My,
server- the
it
server is
doesn't
set
delete
up
it from my
to
server.
allow a copy to remain, but this thing is taking it off.
And then you can
It's
explain the difference between IMAP and
Buried.
POP.
It is so buried. Yeah, on mine it is deeply buried in the settings. Like during setup, which unfortunately is easier than doing this. Like, if you don't have your email, then at some point during the setup you had the option to do it manually. And that's where you would take those settings that you have written down and you'd set it up yourself. Otherwise, all these devices try and do it automatically. It grabs the first. IMAP is considered a more desirable setup, and so it tries that first, and if it works, it stays with that and goes on. What Chester is describing is a situation where I don't think you can do it with IMAP. I mean, you might be able to do it on your Macintosh, but I don't think in general it's part of the way IMAP works. And so to do it, you would have to do manual settings and change it to a pop. Yeah, see, I'm in the IMAP server settings in my phone right now. And about the only setting I see here is you can sync. Oh. Maybe. No, I don't see how it would work. If it works, if somebody out there knows how it works, the only way I can think of doing this is by switching to pop settings. Now,
Where do you do that?
yeah, so it's in my phone, and I have to qualify by saying my phone because Androids are all over the board with. But in my phone, if you go under account in settings, under accounts, under email, it lists the email accounts that are there. Yeah, you would choose one of these settings. No, you would choose account settings. Right, and then it lists the accounts again, and then you'd pick the account, and it lists all the specifications for that account. And in mine, down at the bottom, it has server settings in outgoing, and you're concerned about incoming. And then on incoming, it shows my authentication, my username and password, the server address, which would need to change to the POP address, and then the port number, which would need to change because it's not IMAP. I'm still not convinced this is the right way to do this. Chester, we may have to look it up because
So if
I
you-
think I would start by eliminating the account. I think that's the best way. If you go into accounts, delete the account you've set up, and then go back through the email setup again. And when it says manual, there'll be some option for configuring it manually, and that's what you want to choose. And that'll allow you to change it to a POP setup. Yes?
So the question is, do you actually have a choice of IMAP or POP3 if you set up your email?
You do. During the setup, you can choose whether you're going to set it up for IMAP or
And all
POP3.
email programs give you that option.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, I think we could say that. There was probably a period of time way back 15 years ago where you were. I do remember way back in the past, I'm dusting off my brain, but where IMAP was a thing that you desired in an email client. And so you wouldn't enjoy using one that couldn't support IMAP.
Could you set up two with the same program?
Yeah, you can set up more than most modern email clients. You can set up more than one mechanism for accessing more than one account. You could even set up an IMAP setup and then a POP setup for the same account right beside it. Yeah, yeah. In most modern email programs, you can do that.
Because a POP does not propagate all your devices. Is that correct?
Yeah, well, that's one of the advantages of IMAP. Is the difference between IMAP and POP3 is that IMAP is doing a duplication across your devices. It's taking what's set up on the server and making it appear that way on your phone, on your tablet, on your laptop, wherever you're using IMAP to access your email, you're accessing the exact same format and folders that you find on a server. And a good example is like Hotmail. If you're a Hotmail user and you go to your friend's computer and you go to hotmail.com and you sign in, and there's your email, there's your folders where you've been saving your emails and organizing them. But then you go to your phone and you see the exact same list of emails. Everything that you deleted earlier is deleted now, it's not in the phone. POP works differently. What POP does is it allows you to store your emails out on a server and bring them into a device. And so the way that bringing them in, the device is determining how you're going to deal with those email messages, if they're going to be put into separate folders. But it's all based on the device. So when you move to a different device, you have a different experience with POP Mail. You may, on your laptop, have POP Mail bringing all your financial transactions into a folder called Banking, whereas on your phone, the folder Banking doesn't even exist. Maybe those emails are just right there in the inbox alongside everything else. So that's the real difference between POP and IMAP. One of the disadvantages of POP is that that you can wipe out everything on your server. And so when you're setting up POP, you need to think about what your goal is. A lot of older email clients would, by default, delete the messages off of the server when they're sucked into the device. I remember this happening to a lot of folks when they got their first iPhone and they're setting it up for the first time, and their email server doesn't support anything but POP, and the default settings were to delete them. And so the moment the iPhone would pull up all those emails that were sitting on the server, it was deleting them from the server, and now you're not getting them on your other devices, you're only getting them on your phone. It was one of the first things that we had to help people figure out with their smartphones, because smartphones weren't all that bright to begin with. Now they've gotten a lot smarter, and the default on many of these devices and the email clients are to leave the emails on the server at least for a period of time. And you can see a difference in that. Like Chester's using Outlook 2007. Between 2007 and Outlook 2010, they had changed the default setting so that if you were to set up a POP email account, it would by default leave them on the server, giving you time to set up your settings the way you wanted them. I don't know, have I gone too far in answering this question?
Along that line, I would like to ask.
There is a default. There's a disadvantage of IMAP, is that if you delete it somewhere, it's deleted everywhere. That's one of the biggest keys to take away from. I'm sorry I didn't mention that before. Some people do not appreciate working in that manner. Some people.
No, that's not really true though. It's still on the server.
On IMAP, it is not on the server.
It is on if I delete something, I can go into.
Okay, Google's a special. It's an exception, because Google does this thing called archiving.
Yes.
Yeah, and so you set up your device, depending on its current support for Google, as either by default archiving or by default deleting.
Okay.
You choose that, and I think the default on iDevices with Google support is archiving. Yeah, but you choose that on the device.
Okay.
and that's a Google thing. That's not IMAPI. That's totally Google doing their own thing with this stuff. I'm sorry, Bob.
That's okay.
I covered everything now.
I know, okay, well, not quite. You gave this,
No, I did.
you gave this seminar on phones, and I'm sorry that I didn't get to, I just forgot about it. I would hope that maybe you'd do it again. However, I went into your office, and I'm amazed at the amount of technology that we have available right here in this club as a result, as compared to Tucson. They have a huge club, and they don't learn very much. And I went into
Do they
your
have
office
fun?
because
Are you here starting a rivalry? What's the name of them? What do they think they're doing, not
No.
including us in this?
I went into your office.
They have proven their incompetence by not mentioning us to our 14 followers.
Will you shut up?
Sorry, Bob, go ahead.
Thank you, thank you. I went into your office, and your sister-in-law was there, okay? And I said, I have a phone that my wife insisted that I buy that is track phone. And track phone doesn't work down here, they say. And they say you have to have it a year before you get it
Unlocked.
unlocked. But I've had 7 years with track phone, and so I called them and they said, okay, find out what the server requires and call us back, okay? So I talked with the supervisor. Okay, then your sister-in-law said that her brother, your brother-in-law,
Yeah.
has a business in Wymus.
Yes.
And I know you are into internet, you're into TV, you're into all these things, and you know about phones. Are you in competition with him?
No, not at all. In fact, he's one of our resources and people that come to us with smartphone problems.
He has a business right behind Electra,
That's right.
and I'm going to see him today. That's why I wanted to know. I'm going to go see him today.
He could very easily unlock your phone.
That's a possibility.
Yeah, yeah. Most Android phones can be unlocked. It shouldn't be an issue to get it unlocked.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, but that I thought to myself, how many people? I mean,
There are certain models that they have done goofy things to in the past to make it difficult to unlock them. But now in the United States, they're supposed to be able to unlock them with ease. But you still have to, like, if you get an AT&T, for example, if you get an AT&T phone, I've had this experience a number of times, and it is locked to their network, then you have to go through, you have to verify that you own the phone number, that your bill is in good standing, and that the hardware's unique identification number is associated with a good standing account, and then they give you like 3 days and they'll unlock the phone.
I've been amazed. Chester last year helped us arrange to copy some DVDs for Grisha. And we went to
Esmeralda. Could I
we
have more coffee, por favor?
went to Empalme, and we had it all worked out. This guy has a room that is a sound and video room that is to die for. It's like 15 by 15 and just loaded with equipment, and he said he would do it. Now, there's just a lot of things down here like that.
Yeah?
It's amazing me.
Hey, Scott?
Yes, Jim.
You do have a new person, and she has a question. She thinks everything's over her head right now.
Oh, we talk about all kinds of stuff. Let's get some questions we can answer.
What's the name of your brother-in-law's business?
In Spanish, the cell phone hospital, I think it's Hospital de Celular. And he is right behind Electra. And really, we are in constant communication with him on projects. So if you have like a broken screen or a bad microphone or something like that about your phone, you could quite literally bring it to my office and we'll arrange getting it to him, and he can give you a price on how much it would cost and all that. If you didn't want to have to go to Wymus to deal with it.
Also on Viva, I think you could search for cell phone repair and get it.
Oh, and get Benny's shop, yeah.
the same boat, sort of. I have a track phone, but it's a Samsung. But I want it so I can get all 3 countries, and I need.
I suspect that he can unblock it without any problem. I had a phone from AT&T that was not with. I just bought it online.
Yeah.
And had to get it disconnected from the network so it could be put on Telcel's network, and he was the one that did
And
it
his
for
name
me.
is Benny, right?
Benito,
Right.
Benny.
We have a friend.
Wait, where'd our question person go?
She left.
She left.
She left.
Took too long.
Yep.
Okay.
We have a friend that came down here with.
Anybody know what her question was?
She was trying to communicate with Microsoft and hardly knew what they were speaking about.
Well, that's
Yeah.
not hard to imagine because we didn't get to figure out what she was talking about either, and we're much more patient than Microsoft.
She doesn't know anything about the computers, and so
Oh.
what we started out was way over her head.
Oh,
So she-
well, if anybody knows her, encourage her to come back because we sure didn't mean to forget about her.
She said she might try again.
Okay.
She was
Anyway.
the owner of the wellness center.
To be fair, I was going through the website today cleaning up my documentation, and it says specifically we have no organization or agenda or order. So anybody showing up has to understand it's just chaos.
No, it's slightly
I have a
organized.
question.
Wait a minute. I was still trying to say this about our friend that came down here with, he thought had international from Verizon
Right.
on his phone,
Yes.
and he got a $300 bill.
Oh no.
Yeah, and then the next month he also got a $300 bill, and in talking with them both times, they said, well, the first time they said, this shouldn't be happening, and when it happened the second time, he found out that he did not have a smartphone, and therefore, they were not gonna refund his money, but why did they put him on an international plan if they knew that?
Wow.
Well, and then the
Verizon.
international plan is only like $10 more a month.
I know,
Something
but
like
they're
that.
charging him $300 for
Well, for
roaming.
roaming.
They're charging roaming.
He's lucky it was only
Wow.
$300.
Mm-hmm. I know.
My daughter had the same problem, and she travels internationally all the time.
So does she know
He
this?
thought he
That
was on it.
No, what she has is she has a card holder for SIM cards. And she goes to that country and buys a SIM card.
There you go.
Yeah, that's
She
really.
does not buy the international.
Yeah.
Is she
I-
a spy?
Chester has a comment about Verizon.
Is she a spy?
If I may,
Yes,
Is she a
Jessica.
I went into their chat room.
Is she a spy?
this week
No.
Sounds like-
She's a missionary.
Because I had heard that you could get unlimited data.
Yes.
And sure enough, you get unlimited data up to 22,000. And then
22
after that,
gigabytes.
You get a slowdown. And also the price went down. I have 3 phones. It went down by $75.
Oh wow.
So
Wait, so
Say that again.
you have 3 phones on the same contract and they have dropped the price $75?
And gave us unlimited data and texting and worldwide coverage.
Oh wow. That's
And,
great.
And what company is that?
Verizon.
You got worldwide.
So I would say, what I would suggest is that if you haven't been on Verizon and negotiated recently, go do it.
They always are good about that too.
And I did it on the chat room.
Yeah. Yeah,
It really works nice.
and actually, if you weren't getting any attention, always Twitter. Twitter is a great way to get a hold of somebody that can make decisions because they're in the global conversation. They're in the public. So if you're not getting any like your friend's experience there, I wouldn't have put up with that for more than about 15 minutes before I would be introducing this whole topic to the rest of the world on Twitter. Because
Facebook is our friend.
yeah.
Why do you have 3 phones? You only have 2 ears.
I have 2 grandchildren with phones.
Oh, you're a nice grandpa.
You're a good
Oh,
grandpa.
oh,
I used to have 5.
Can you,
So you
can you
oh,
post your hand up?
I can. I need to take some time and put it in a form that I can post it.
Oh, I just thought you had a document that you printed.
Yeah, what we had was a document that, well, it's actually 2 different pictures. And so I need to put it in like a PDF or something so it can be.
I asked for
the
the
handout
from the
Right.
session.
Yeah.
From the iPhone session?
The
Yeah.
girls are ready to print them out at the office.
Okay.
But I don't have it in a
I
form to
wanted them-
post it. Yeah.
I wanted them electronically
Yeah,
as
I
opposed to
understand.
printed.
I
You
understand.
know, we're a paperless
So-
society here.
Also,
That's
call his sister-in-law.
what I can post right now are 2 photos.
All right.
That's what I can post,
Post the
right
2
now.
photos.
Yeah.
I can look at the photos.
Let me make a note of that so I don't forget to do that.
Next fall.
Post
Could I-
phone
Is
smartphone
on YouTube.
handout.
What I would-
The
Well, all I know is that I have.
I still need to put together the video and put that out. So I haven't done that yet.
Wait, Roger.
You know,
But,
I'm the only one.
but
on
I'm
the road.
having problems though with
Last
800
week at the end of the session, you said you wanted to talk about Netflix and their password sharing.
oh yeah, actually that's become big news, but I haven't seen any plan yet. Has anybody seen a plan for when that's going to come into play?
What are they doing?
No.
Netflix has announced that they're going to crack down on password sharing.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so they're going to be keeping track. I mean, I'm sure they're already keeping track of where these things are being used. But they're raising the price, and they're going to crack down on. And you know, if I could speculate a little bit, I think they're doing all this preemptively because Disney is about to enter this market, and they're going to
Take it over.
dominate it.
Right.
They're going to win the internet in this respect. What's up, Ed?
No, I just gotta pay back somebody I borrowed some money from. I don't see him here.
I'll take it.
Yeah.
We'll give it to them.
You want to ease
can
your
trust us.
conscience?
Adios, guys.
All right.
Question.
Oh, Irving,
Oh, it's a new topic.
a new topic. Did I finish that last topic?
Yeah, you did.
What? All right.
Something else.
Go ahead, Irving. What you got?
Okay, so you mentioned Twitter, and you hear about Twitter all day long.
Yeah.
I never use it because I envision it this as intrusive, never-ending nonsense. Is Twitter of any value to people like us?
Yes. Yeah. Absolutely.
Can we discuss it?
Yeah, I mean, if you want, we could talk a bit about Twitter. I've been amazed at how my father has really gotten into it. And for him, what it allows him to do very quickly is draw together a dozen or more sources of what he considers reliable information and put them all on the same page. So he doesn't have to, I mean, that's the most curating that he has to do is go, well, I like MSNBC, and I like CNN, and I like Joe Schmo from Alaska Mudflats, and right, and pull all his interests together into one feed that he can go to and just browse through by a swipe. And then really Twitter gets used a lot for journalists, and so they're sharing topics that they have written, and you're able to where was I going with that? They're sharing topics that are being used in forming a bigger understanding of things out there. So the sources are providing links to actually I hear them referred to as long reads, where I mean you can get a little information out of a tweet, but the link takes you on to the long read where you get all the details of whatever the subject is. I think that like I was describing, using Twitter to talk to the world, I think because Twitter has become such a tool for journalists, they're out there ready to hear stories like this because they want to immediately snatch them up and make them topics that they're writing about. So I think Twitter's been very disruptive in our culture just because of that fact. Journalists use it as a tool, so you can use it as a tool to inform people of what's happening. Companies take it very seriously when you're out there shouting at the world, hey look, they robbed me of $300 just because I didn't understand the phone policy that they put in place. Well, there's a lot of people out there that wouldn't understand that.
So how
and
do you
there's
get Twitter?
You just go and sign up for it.
On a phone only?
No, you can do it on web page. Yeah, and I would say don't get personally attached to it. I mean, one of the things that's happened is especially with celebrities, people start really feeling like they're part of these other people's lives. Very much like a Facebook phenomenon, but with complete strangers. And when people start behaving like that, then other people are taking advantage of them. And there is just visceral, ugly stuff that will be said on Twitter, and you just ignore it. You don't get into that game. That's a whole different level of entertainment that's going on. Some people really find the value of their Twitter or Facebook world is based on how many people are following them. I think Twitter's value is in your selection of the people you follow, because that's a flow of information coming to you that you're curating. I find it to be I use Twitter every day. I use it for finding topics for our club meetings. I use it to just stay informed. I've got a Twitter feed for the computer club, which I have religiously curated to all tech topics. So when I'm desperate for any tech news, I just go to my computer club Twitter feed, and it's everything that's happening at CES and the mobile show, and it's all just that kind of stuff. So I think it's very useful to folks like yourselves. Yeah. I wouldn't be worried about people following you. You don't have to tweet a thing. The value comes from what other people are saying, and you being able to gather, being able to clear out the nonsense and get the stuff that you find important. It might be nonsense to other people. It might be people that are doing vinegar or limoncello. Did not matter to anyone but you. And that's the beauty of Twitter, is I don't have to follow those people. Is there any Twitter questions before we go on?
Well, only like with Facebook, not Facebook, like with commentary on news articles. Some of it is downright not only stupid, offensive.
Right.
And there seems to be anybody can say anything.
See, I look at those as like rabbit holes. It's like you can see the link, you can see a journalist or somebody passing on the link, somebody that you trust, and to me I already got the value. Now if I want the entertainment, I can go to the comments section, and I mean it's like being into watching horror films, right? Like on the surface it scare the hell out of my 11-year-old. Well, no, it wouldn't. She's gotten pretty dark recently. But you would think you think grade school people should not be reading this stuff, and you can enjoy it like you enjoy a horror film. But basically, the value has disappeared the moment you start getting through this commentary, which is interesting. We could have a whole side topic on this area. On Facebook, it can get just as visceral. Doesn't seem to happen for the things that Facebook should be for in the first place. Family, friends, events, gatherings. If you were to stay with that stuff, you won't find anything visceral in those comments. Like, oh, she's so sweet. Oh, look, she looks like a butterfly. Right? Yeah. Look at the kitten hanging upside down. I mean, it's great stuff. But if you get into anything that you would typically be passing on a Twitter feed, like news things that aren't intended for your family, yeah, very much so, you immediately start finding people slamming other people. I've got one guy that's a good buddy of mine who is polar opposite politically than I am, and I know all I have to do is get his goat is just post something, and I call it trolling. I'm just trolling my buddy, because I know immediately after I post it, he will have a number of things he's got to add to it, and that's where I've gotten my entertainment for the day.
It's hard to beat the entertainment value of flat Earth.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah.
The flat Earth Society. I look at it on YouTube, but
I think
I don't Twitter it.
Really?
the people that get in the most trouble is they use Facebook like it's Twitter. They use Twitter like it's Facebook. And they start paying attention to all of it like it's Reddit. I don't know if any of you spend any time on Reddit. Reddit has very helpful comments, and it has, I mean, it's everything. It's absolutely everything. There's people making like stoner jokes about some very specific topic. He said duty. It's our duty to protect the Middle East. He said duty. And at the same time, you'll find a PhD war scholar that would talk about the history and pass several links of different well-researched articles that back up the art. I read it. It's just it's a chaos of all of it. So I guess the only point I would make is don't get into it. Don't marry to it. Don't form a relationship with these social networks. Suck them for the things that are. Facebook is awesome for sharing photos and gatherings and events, planning events. Yep. It's not a great place to share your far left or far right opinions without getting beat up by your family and friends.
But Twitter is, right?
But Twitter's the appropriate place to share that stuff.
Okay, now you say you use it to receive information.
That's right.
Okay, but if you don't want to receive it, you want to give information, it's also a good place, right?
Well, it is, but then you're actually working on your social persona on the internet. I mean, to give you an example, our computer club feed has like 19 followers. Not an influencer at all. Nobody is looking to the San Carlos Computer Club for information, right? And yeah, I mean that's just there's 19 people following it. I mean, I'm a little flattered. There's a couple of tech journalists that follow the computer club, and they have like 14,000 followers or 50,000 followers, and they've decided to be one of the 19 that have bothered to follow the computer club. And I only speculate it's because we offer an odd perspective on technology in this day and age.
It's like Paul's Flat Earth Society.
Right, we're this little niche group of somewhat retired, living in Mexico, tech-oriented people. Yeah, we're a niche group.
I'm gonna have to look that up.
They've been around forever, the Flat Earth.
Yes, Mike.
I spent a little time with Spotify this week.
Yes.
Spotify is difficult.
It is.
It's a lot of work to put together. You got it song by song by song by song.
Creating your own playlists.
Yeah.
Hey, are you doing that with a VPN, or are you just using the Mexican?
Just Mexican Spotify. Well, I'm not sure.
Because it seems like Spotify for a long time wasn't available in Mexico.
Oh, I went to it because I thought it is. But I have my VPN on for Pandora, so maybe.
Right, because Pandora is definitely not.
I'll shut it off and then try Spotify. But it is a lot of work.
Yeah, I think it is available in Mexico now, and you're creating playlists. I don't know a whole lot about that. Is there anybody else using Spotify?
Anybody use Spotify?
I tried. The ladies in the art league had a thing. She was using Spotify to play music the other day.
Yeah. Do you imagine she was using a VPN? I don't think she would be. My first guess would be no.
What do you think is the best music downloader for the phone?
Music downloader.
Yeah, to be able to.
Or a streaming service.
Yeah.
Is that what you're talking about?
Right.
You know, I don't have a lot of experience with the streaming services, and it's because of the history of data plans. Yeah. So I'm not the best one to talk about it. I know Spotify, I've been reading, has just put together a new option where you can mute people you don't want to listen to. Like you can specify, like you can blacklist artists so they don't show up in your random feeds. And I thought that's kind of an interesting. I mean, they're all kind of competing for the same ears.
Yeah.
I know that I've been using YouTube Music. If you haven't tried YouTube Music, I highly recommend it. It's it's very cool.
Okay.
But they have a free and a premium, and what they're selling as part of the premium is the ability to leave the app and leave it running.
All right.
Right? So the free version of YouTube Music, YT Music, the whole time it's on the face of your phone, or it's on the face of your web browser. You can use it in a computer. The moment you change focus, it turns off the music. right?
Yeah.
The other thing that they offer, another premium, they've got a number of premium things, but another premium feature it has, the ability to turn off the music video. Now they have a lot of music that only has like a thumbnail, and so there isn't video data being passed to the app. You're just looking at an album cover, kind of a Spotify experience, I imagine, or a Pandora experience where you see an album cover and maybe some details of the song, but there is no video playing.
Mm-hmm.
But they will build your random playlist out of videos music that has both video and has like album art. Well, the music videos take up more bandwidth. And you can't turn that off on the free version. So if you're using this on your phone and you're using a data plan, it's eating up even more data. And so it may eat up enough data that you only know your economics, that you may want to pay the premium price just so it's not eating up that extra monthly data.
Yeah.
So Spotify is on your phone only, right?
Spotify is available on various devices.
Okay.
But I'm not... Mike, did you add something to add on that?
I use it on my phone.
Are you guys playing a game against each other down there?
So anyway, about 2 weeks ago, I went to Amazon Prime Mexico and bought a JBL Flip 4 speaker. It's like
Oh, okay, yeah.
twice as big as this coffee cup.
Right, a Bluetooth speaker.
Yeah, well, I didn't know that. I'm looking for the other wire for like 2 weeks. I said, what the hell I do with my own wire? Anyway, so
You know, JBL, they should have included a new wire with
yeah,
it.
you would think.
Yeah, right.
It was $100 and it's well worth the thing. And so you can just Bluetooth your phone right to it. And I've been doing that with Spotify.
Okay, so it's running on your phone, but you're
so
Bluetoothing it to
Spotify,
the
you can
speaker.
I've always loved bossa nova music, so you can find a bossa nova playlist. You know, Girl from Ipanema and all that stuff. And it will go on for quite a long period of time. But then other playlists are only 3 songs long. So, but anyway, that JBL speaker is, it was quick delivery from Mexico City, so that was all good.
Well, is it on Alexa? I'm thinking it's on Alexa as a skill.
Oh yeah, I think you can make an Alexa. I never started a relationship with Alexis.
Well,
Alexa, so it says that there is a premium Spotify that comes up in the Alexa skills search. So maybe that means you can use it if you're a premium customer.
The Echo is really neat. I call up soft music, hard music, dramatic music, elevator music, or particular writers, that I want to listen to, and she comes back and she usually says it's available.
Now, is Echo separate from Spotify then? I'm not familiar.
Well, yeah.
Echo is a little cone thing you buy for $79.
Echo is the name of the hardware from Amazon. The
from
smart
Amazon.
speakers are
Okay.
called Echoes.
All right.
Echo Spot, Echo Show,
Gmail,
Echo
not
Tap.
Gmail, but Google has their own device that's identical, and there's about 3 companies that have those. Yeah.
I've been hearing good reviews from the Google Home Hub, which is their smart speaker with a
Right.
screen.
Ah.
And they intentionally built it without a camera in it, so people would feel comfortable
using it.
Yeah, as a picture frame and as a just as a. I mean, it's funny. I was in somebody's house the other day using an Echo Show, which does have a camera built into it, and there's something to be said about a smart speaker that can reply to you with visual results as well. It's not. It was like the weather. The weather result comes up with the forecast right there in front of you. The movie results show up. Well, sure, it is more toys. It's all toys.
Well, Echo will also close your garage door.
Yeah.
If you have a refrigerator that's
Close your refrigerator.
hooked up to a computer, it'll do everything for the refrigerator. It'll close your blinds, and along that line, I wonder if there's still any interest in having Cyberco come and do a deal.
Oh, as far you're talking about Horizon, Cyberco doing the
Horizon did come,
smartphone
yes.
stuff. Yeah.
Yes, and I don't know whether there's any interest.
It's up to them if they want. I mean, it's up to you guys too. But I don't think any of us mind having a guest speaker. Having different information's always interesting.
Okay.
Yeah.
They're willing to do it.
Yeah, if they want to do it, they just need to set a time. Just let us know.
So let me get this straight. First you buy a $79 speaker, then a $2,000 refrigerator.
Right.
Wait,
So that
keep
you
in
can
mind,
understand what your refrigerator is
if
doing.
you want the $2,000 refrigerator, you may want to find out if it's compatible with the $79 speaker first. Then you're gonna have to decide whether the $2,000 fridge or the $80 speaker is more important to you, because you're gonna have to adapt to whichever.
Then you need to know
Hey.
what's the planned obsolescence?
This is a whole new generation. There is no planned obsolescence. It's planned surveillance. Right? That's what's really going on. They're getting these things out into everybody's home any way they can. Hey, in this vein, I do have a couple of topics that I'd like to just get out because they're getting old, and I still think they're interesting. I don't know if anybody paid any attention to CES this year.
What?
CES, the Consumer Electronics Show. But one of the biggest announcements, at least in my world, is Apple playing friendly with third-party hardware developers. Really? Yeah, and what they announced at CES is that Samsung, LG, and Vizio and Sony are all going to be supporting AirPlay from the Apple devices. AirPlay 2 is the new designation of that standard. But if you don't have an Apple device, what AirPlay does is it looks for devices on your network that you can broadcast to. And it can be video, it can be audio, depending on the device. All it has to be is AirPlay compatible. And so there are speakers out there that are AirPlay compatible. I think Sonos is AirPlay compatible. And now this is something that we've never had. AirPlay has always been an interesting feature if you live in a whole Apple ecosystem. You basically have to have a tablet and a phone and an Apple TV to really appreciate what it's able to do. On the other side of things, you might be doing it with a Chromecast or some knockoff Android box. But in the Apple world, it was really well dialed in. If you had an Apple TV and you had an Apple phone, then you could broadcast stuff from your phone to your TV without any problem. The Apple HomePod is a smart speaker by Apple, and it could very easily connect to your phone. You just find it there as an output, kind of like your speaker, like your headphones output, and you just switch to it and it broadcast. So this is a big deal. This is a really big deal that these TV manufacturers are going to include AirPlay. But then Samsung announced an iTunes app for their TV set. So this is Apple moving forward into services. And I imagine it will be in classic Samsung style. To get this app, you probably have to buy a new TV. But what this means is that any of your iTunes music, well, they said specifically TV shows and movies, so we'll see if music
You already have
appears.
Samsung Smart TV?
That's what I'm saying. In classic Samsung style, you'll probably have to buy a new TV.
Yeah.
They have done a lousy job of adding apps to their TV sets.
Roku won't take
They
it?
could. They've got an app store. They could easily add it, but I would imagine this kind of relationship would only happen, I'm speculating now, if Apple's getting a cut.
Sure.
and their developers are only going to develop for new TVs because that's the only way that Samsung would give them a cut, is if we're talking about new TV purchases. But this is still an amazing thing because Apple does not put its software lightly on stuff. Now what they have done is they put iTunes, or I'm sorry, not iTunes, I keep saying iTunes, I want to say Music, Apple Music. They put it on Android 2 years ago, so that you could subscribe to their music service and they could hit you whether you are on an Apple device or not. And I know this is what they're trying to do here with this Samsung licensing, is they're worried about you buying into their music and their movies and their TV collections.
It sounds like your Roku is on the way out. Is that right?
Well, Roku is still a $49 device, and the Apple TV is still a $150 device. Right. So I think that Roku's got a future, because you can do the same kind of activities with a Roku. Roku is a much. Yeah, it's available in Mexico. Irving, before I take a question, I just want to say I think I'm finding a theme for what we're talking about, because the streaming, all this stuff is turning into services, just like the Amazon stuff. It's all turning into services. Eventually, they'll just want to hit you with devices so that you can take advantage of these services. This is Apple getting tooled up. Again, going back to Disney, Disney is getting ready to dominate. They do not care what device you have, except they do have a stake in Apple, right? So Apple wants to be able to stream all the content that you're going to get from Disney to any of these manufacturers. And I bet that's what we're going to see next, is that all your Disney content is available through your Apple services. Your Apple services are available on your Samsung TVs as well as on your iDevices, so you can stream them to any of these TVs. And they're fortifying. We're going to have HBO, and we're going to have Netflix, and we're going to have Hulu, and actually Disney owns a stake of Hulu too, so be ready for Hulu to merge with Disney as soon as they release their monster. Their monster's built by Major League Baseball, which is the streamer online. They are the platform for video streaming. It's going to be very interesting to see what happens. I suspect it's one of the few moves where people might drop Netflix. And I was listening to an interesting conversation today where they were talking about the bill of cable cutting versus cable data usage. You still have to have a Netflix account you pay for.
No.
Really?
I just logged in.
I've seen that advertised.
Logged in. The one I use is T-Mobile, but then we
That's
have
interesting.
Cox,
I didn't know
Cox
that was
says,
going on in the States.
So with my Cox machine, I just say Netflix, and it brings up the Netflix menu.
That's
and
cool.
You aren't subscribed. You are a Netflix subscriber.
No, I never paid for Netflix.
Wow.
You know that Claro Video does that here in Mexico.
You're paying for it, but you don't realize it.
Well,
yes.
But what I'm saying is,
with him,
yeah,
but
I mean,
you
my,
get to do
my
it.
Cox account is hundreds of dollars.
T-Mobile, you
Right.
can bring Netflix wherever you go. Cox, you're sitting there in the house. It seems like you've covered it all like that.
Yeah, I can get Netflix.
Claro Video has done the same thing with your Telmex connections.
Well, right now, I don't think investors are thinking that Netflix is going to go somewhere.
Yeah, but I don't know how to do
When
that.
Disney comes, because the stock is still going up.
Yeah, no, I think Netflix is going to have a shift. They're gonna pivot into something else because they can't compete. What they were selling before is going to be offered in such a different variety and pricing scheme that they're not going to be able to win with that anymore. They're going to have to pivot and do something else.
What's Claro cost?
Nothing if you have Telmex.
States or Canada.
That's what I thought.
Yeah, and if you have Telmex, you can go to Claro Video. Claro Video actually will see your IP address and recognize that you are on a Telmex connection and have free access to them. They will walk you through a setup where you have to give them an email address, but that you won't have to give them a credit card or anything.
And what do you get with Claro?
You get a catalog of videos that's available and TV shows.
Total Netflix.
It's basically
Forgot that.
Yeah, it's basically like Netflix. It's actually, probably to be fair, it's more like Amazon Prime, because you're already in it. And what they start doing is they promote services that you don't get for free. So there's a bunch of stuff you get for free, but then right in your face it shows, oh, well, here's how you could get this. Sign up for HBO through Claro Video. I'd say, oh, here's the way you can get this. Sign up for Netflix through Claro Video. And so they can offer discounts too. If you do HBO through Claro, I'm not saying they are doing this, but they have the ability to do that. They're able to offer you a different price on that service because you've done it through Claro. Yeah, Bill.
Quick one for CES. One of the company's robots was being allowed to go back to its booth, was run over by one of the
that was beautiful.
autonomous vehicles.
One of the autonomous robots that was being told to go back to its booth got hit by a Tesla that was running self-driving car software.
I don't know who's getting sued here.
The robot wars have begun.
What's your name?
And we're bystanders.
Was that robot half family, huh?
Was it recorded by a drone?
Autonomous drone.
That would be way too meta. That would be. That's great. Go ahead, Irving. What you got?
Subject. So I didn't use Apple for a lot of years. Unfortunately, their technology advanced and you're kind of forced if you want to be up front. One of the reasons I quit them in the music thing is I bought a lot of songs from Apple, not knowing that if I left the service, I lose the songs I paid for. Is that still a policy?
Yes, but the thing is that people don't leave services indefinitely. Like your account has access under their terms of service to those songs. Even if those songs are no longer available through Apple, like something has happened with their licensing, and the songs that but they have to maintain a database that you can download those songs from. If you had bought them, then you should be able to get them from Apple, regardless of without buying them again.
Okay, well, here's something that bothers me. I'm trying to remember, it's been a long time ago.
Yeah.
Sign up for Apple will give you 300 free songs, okay? Now I sign up for Apple, I use them a few years, I buy a bunch of songs, whatever they cost, and then I quit Apple.
Okay, now.
And now I get back, all those 300 are gone, they're no longer mine.
Now,
Free songs.
first of all, what do you mean by quit Apple? Like you quit paying them?
No, you gotta pay as you buy. What I did, it was quit using their music service. I guess I was paying a monthly fee.
Okay, so that's a different deal. And that's what they're trying to sell everybody on right now, is go into Apple Music. Apple Music, you pay a monthly fee. You get access to their entire catalog. You can download as many songs as you want. You can put them in as many devices as you want. But they do need to be authorized songs, and after you quit it, now this, I haven't had this experience, but I imagine this is the way it works. Those songs that I took out of it and stuck in my device are good until I need to stick them in my device again. At that point, I can't get access to those songs anymore.
Well, if you download them, here's the point of it. If you download them, it's on your hard drive.
Right.
And then you go to access them and they're blocked. That's what happened to me years ago.
So that's the way it used to work when you would buy stuff.
Right.
Because it would have to talk to Apple and authorize those songs. And you did that through your device. So you didn't have to be online, but your device knew that there's an encryption certificate that authorized these songs to be played. Now all of that DRM is gone. None of that exists anymore.
If I buy a song from any of these streaming devices, I will own it, just like.
Well, we're talking about Apple right now.
Okay.
Yeah, all the DMR is gone with Apple. And so if you buy a song outright, I want to own this song, you can download it. It's ticked in your account that you own it, so you can go back to your account at any time and re-download it. You can take that file, you can put it on any of your devices without an issue.
If you download it, why would you have to re-download it?
because maybe you downloaded, stuck it in your phone, didn't keep a copy of it, and your phone went fishing.
Yeah. Yeah, okay. So you can go to another phone and re-download.
Yeah, yeah. Or you can download it to your computer. I mean, the point is the access to it is still yours because you bought it.
If you buy it now, you have permanent access.
Right, which is different from the Apple Match, the Apple Music system, which is you're paying a monthly fee to have access to the entire catalog. And the moment you stop paying the monthly fee, then you don't have access to those songs anymore.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Question?
Yes, Chester.
What is the best VPN?
Again, the VPN question. This needs to be asked at the beginning, not at the end of the because everybody's left. I just recently was helping Christine. Frank, she's been here a number of times. She's got the new TCS.
TTS?
The TCS satellite system. No, wait, Chester. That's the new satellite system that's people have been talking about instead of Telmex, I was over trying to help her with Smart DNS. We couldn't get it working. I sent all the information to their tech people, and they sent back a 2-page email of different things they wanted to check and get screenshots. In a nutshell, what it told me is they don't have a solution. They're looking for the solution.
I WhatsApped Hector
Yeah.
Lopez, and he's turning it over to his technicians.
Okay, cool. That's great, because somebody needs to get a smart DNS and verify whether they can make it work or not. So in that case, she's not able to use Netflix as though it's the United States. She's not able to use Amazon Prime as though she's in the United States. Smart DNS is not helping her.
That's all I want. To use Netflix and Prime.
Right. So under that circumstance, Smart DNS is not working. Netflix and Prime, ExpressVPN. I worked with their customer support to get a customer set up.
ExpressVPN?
Wait, Chester, I'm just telling you, okay? We don't have a definitive answer. I think you should ask the question at the beginning and hear everybody's different experiences, because these are my experiences so far. I didn't expect ExpressVPN. Let me start out by saying ExpressVPN is a well-known, highly popularized VPN for security and reliability. It would be one that people would give you as a recommendation. Except my experience trying to get Netflix required a long interaction with customer support before we finally found a server that would work. And I didn't expect it to work. I was at the end of my rope just going, well, this is not going to work. I just need you to tell me it's not going to work. And he kept having me try different locations. Kind of the experience you had with Wytopia, right? When you're changing locations. And finally we found a location that would work. But what that means is that it's like whack-a-mole. That means as soon as Netflix is able to recognize that you're in that location with a VPN, they're gonna, and now you're back to doing that process again, trying to find a place for it to work. So for your usage, I'm not sure ExpressVPN is the best recommendation. Smart DNS is the one that I was recommending because I had so many great experiences until Christine's experience.
You have Smart DNS?
I do, and here's a question for you related to that Smart DNS. Why can you sign up for Netflix in the States and come down here and get the Mexican catalog?
Right.
But you sign up for Prime in the States and it doesn't work down there.
It does.
It doesn't for me. Unless I use Smart DNS.
It does work. I understand the comparison you're making. Because you have a services account that allows services in other countries, why you should be able to use it. And actually you are. Without paying for Mexican Prime, there is a catalog of Prime videos from the States that you are allowed to view as a U.S. Prime member somewhere else. Now, I guess I've not gone through that catalog, but I would guess everything in that catalog is directly owned by Amazon. And so they can distribute it in all these other countries without worrying about copyright law.
So it's it must be very limited.
That's right.
I tried to get it with Radiosity, infinitum modem,
Okay, Radiosity should have nothing to do with it.
Okay, with the Prime Mexican catalog, when I try to get into it, it tells me I have to create an account.
Well, you need a Prime account.
So I have to create one for down here?
No.
I have
Is your Prime account in the device you're using? See, that's what it needs. It needs you to sign up.
Sign into the Roku?
Yeah, sign into the Prime Video app on the Roku with your US account. And what you will get is a catalog of things that are considered international. And you'll find the same thing with Netflix. There is a core of things that are international, and it is the stuff that Netflix owns outright. And so they can distribute it anywhere without getting in trouble. Then on top of that, if you had a Mexican Prime account, you would get that international stuff, and you would get what was licensed for Mexico, which is a different catalog, just like Netflix is a different catalog in Mexico than in the United States.
So it may not include certain programming in the United States.
Oh, it definitely has stuff that's not included in the States. Yeah.
Okay, now, this guy right here
Hello, Guy.
is a writer. He's a writer.
Oh, all right.
And I invited him to come to the club because he sits there on a computer all day long and he knows way more than I know. Now, I know that he talks like a Brit.
Okay.
But I think he was probably born in New York. But I don't think that's right either.
We're just finishing up here, but
And
I'm
he came
Scott.
late.
Hi, how are you doing?
Very
Sorry,
good.
I didn't want to interrupt you.
What's your name?
Eric.
Eric, nice
Yeah,
to meet
and,
you, Eric.
And your name?
Scott.
Oh, Scott?
Scott.
Oh, so Scotch and Scott
Yeah,
is very
right.
cool. Okay. Well, I run a non-profit organization and I have a webpage, but it's outdated. And
Okay.
I wanted, you cannot always trust all these young people that say they are genius in webpage. So I wanted to.
You're
follow
welcome.
your
Eric,
advice.
Eric, let me shut this down and
Yeah.
let me give you some information, okay?
Of course.
Yeah.
Thank you. No
So,
hurry. Take your
everybody has vacated and left me here with this empty table, just me and Paul. Are you ready to do lunch?
No. No, but I have a small question to ask you.
Okay. Should I shut it down or should we record it for posterity?
Okay, I use Whitopia so that I can
Okay, see it.
go to CBS and watch Big Bang Theory.
Okay.
When I miss it. The other day, I tried it and it shows me 1 minute of the program and then stops it and it says that they're unable to download an advertisement, so so this program is not available to me. This never happened before.
Oh, wow.
And I think that Microsoft, in their updates, improved Windows so that
Okay, but go back. You were on a web page using a
I was
VPN.
using
Using Chrome.
and I just put CBS.com.
Right.
This is
Across
after I
across the
used Whitopia,
VPN.
After I used Whitopia
Yeah.
to log into Long Beach, California, which
Okay.
is a good spot. And so, but first it gives me an advertisement, then some of the program, and then it says we can't download
Right,
an advertisement.
right.
So I know they're letting my.
I would
system's
double
letting-
check the stability of your VPN because it should be that advertisement should be coming across the VPN as well.
Yeah.
So it shouldn't be an issue. Like I could imagine that kind of problem existing under something like Smart DNS because the advertising's coming from different servers.
Oh yeah.
But in the case of a VPN, it would all be coming through that same channel, so it wouldn't matter if it was a different server.
So I tried it several ways and on different programs on Sheldon as a child,
Yeah. You might talk to Whitopia customer support. I bet they've got a chat line there where you could just tell them flat out,
See,
this
'cause
is
it
what I'm
says-
trying to do.
It says to disable advertisement blockage, and I don't know that I have that. And one of them came through, so.
Oh, well,
Right,
and
they
there
have
is a
different-
blocker in Chrome.
Yeah, is that
You
right?
might try turning it off just to see if it makes a difference.
So in the Chrome, in the setup, huh?
Yeah, let me open up a Chrome window here. There is, what is it under? It's under settings. I guess it's under settings. I thought it was easier to get at than that. Let me find it again here. Search. Where is it? Control F. Oh, weird. Control what information websites can. Oh, wow. I found it. It's not as straightforward as it used to be. If you go into settings under advanced, under private and security, it's like the second one up from the bottom. Content settings. Control what information websites can use and what content they can show you. And that is a whole list of permissions that include things like pop-ups and redirects, ads. Those are two of the things that are listed there. Pop-ups and redirects and ads. And by default, I think both of them are set to block. And so you could set them to not block.
Okay, I'm down to advanced and then private and security
and then the second from the bottom is content settings. And then if you click on that, there's a list of different kinds of content and different behaviors you can set for them. And Paul, I'm going to shut this down. This has been the San Carlos Computer Club. We meet every Tuesday at Tequilas from 9:15 to 10:15. Paul and I are the only one, and Eric are the only ones left here. So I've got to say goodbye until next Tuesday. Tech on, and I hope everyone